Hello guys, this is Hexagon0 and welcome back to another episode of Multiplayer Mondays. I've got some Battlefield 4 gameplay for you here using the A91, which you've probably seen a lot on YouTube recently because it got a buff and now it's a very, very good gun, despite the fact that I think it looks like complete crap. And now I'm also demonstrating the abilities of the new movement system and my inability to vault over fences. But yeah. Anyway, this is a team TDM deathmatch. I don't know. It's not a game mode I typically play, and to be honest, I don't really like it. It's just the spawn mechanics in Battlefield right now. They're not what they could be, and that's the issue. It just doesn't work for me. Because, I mean, like, they can spawn, they can go around, and I try and pull off flanking maneuvers a couple times here. I use a kind of a wide variety of weapons. I use an assault rifle, a couple assault rifles maybe, sniper, the gold magnum. I actually unlocked that recently, and I'm really enjoying it. The bullet drop off is like 0 in the first 100 meters, so you know, that's great. And it's also got a great kill damage model on it. Kill damage model? It's got a great damage model on it, essentially. But anyways, we are about to hit November, and November, if you guys don't know, is like a giant release date heaven. If you don't know what I mean, let me just go through my list here. Switch over from October to November. Alright, so on the 3rd of November, we have the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare release date. I do not actually buy Call of Duty games, but for those of you that do, there you go. We have Assassin's Creed Unity and The Crew being released on Tuesday the 11th. And moving on, we have Dragon Age Inquisition, Far Cry 4, and GTA 5 on the PS4 and Xbox One on another Tuesday on the 18th again. And then we have the new Pokemon games and Super Smash Bros. Wii U release date on Friday the 21st. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Actually, I just noticed there's a discrepancy in my schedule here. I've got 2 The Crew release dates. I'm pretty sure it's the 11th, but it might also be December 2nd. I don't know. Yeah, so a lot of video games coming out soon. There's been a lot of footage of Far Cry 4 popping up, and I'm saying it looks a lot like Far Cry 3, but in a good way, if that makes any sense. And of course, this week it is also Halloween. So, yeah, I think maybe last year I had done something with that, done a special. Yeah, I don't have time this year. Sorry guys, that's why you guys haven't been getting, specials or montages or anything recently. Partially because my computer is practically borked, and I have, like, the inability to record and or trust it to do anything, really. And, yeah. So, sorry about that. That'll change when I get my new computer. Anyway, Evolve has been in the news recently. It's been, Jack Frags did a nice interview thing with the developers. Evolve was shown on Xbox One, and yeah, essentially there was a long string of gameplay released for it, and it looked pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to buy it yet, but I guess we are going to have to see. I'm going to be bouncing all over the table here. I'm not going to be splitting up video games and or media and or TV and or movies. But anyway, Khan himself has been cast as Doctor Strange in the Marvel movie. I am, of course, talking about Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch, however you want to say his name. Him. He's the new Doctor Strange. And if it's anything like the chameleon he was in Star Trek Into Darkness and Sherlock and all the other movies he's been in, it's probably going to be a pretty good film. What else in gaming related news? There's a whole bunch of stuff this week, and I'm just trying to remember all of it. Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, Sunset Overdrive is coming out soon too. I don't actually know the release date. It's probably in a couple of days actually. Now that I think about it. Hold on, let me just quickly look it up. You're not gonna tell me the release date? Sunset Overdrive release date? No? Okay, fine. Google. It is then. October the 28th. Wow, okay, that's tomorrow. Well, I was right, it is coming out soon. Tomorrow. So there we go. You like that sort of thing? It's an open world, and I think it's kind of cool. I never really had much participation in the Sunset Overdrive universe, but, you know, if you like it, go for it. Moving on. Bunch of Agent Shield stuff. There's been The Flash. There's been Supernatural, which hasn't been doing too well. Personally, I think they need to go back to their roots. And because a lot of TV shows do this. They start out, they do the Monster of the Week thing, the Killer of the Week. A lot of crime shows. Dear God, there are a lot of crime shows on television right now. And most of them are shit. But sometimes I think it would be cool if the series actually went back to a Monster of the Week, because you can remember like Supernatural season 1, Monster of the Week, Supernatural season 2, maybe 2 monsters a week, not 2 monsters a week, sorry, 1 monster every 2 weeks. Ooh. And then they kind of branched out into overarching giant things, and then occasionally they do smaller, like, monsters of the week, but it always has a general theme. Sometimes I think that a show needs to go back to Monster of the Week, especially if it's been on as long as Supernatural. So they're in 10 seasons now. So sometimes it's kind of like, okay, we're kind of gunking up the writing a little bit, because that's going to happen inevitably. So you might as well go back to the roots, see what that turns up. If that doesn't work, and do emergency recast and a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't know. Anyway, Halo Nightfall. There was it's a live action kind of thing about Halo, and it's supposedly great. I have never really been a large participator in the Halo universe, so I do not know if it looks true to story or true to whatever or not, or even if it's supposed to be true to story. Yeah, if you're wondering what I'm doing on screen here, I am hunting for a mortarer, and the reason why I haven't started killing this mortar is because I'm looking for the guy who's operating it. And I realize he's probably like over that hill that was in front of me there, and he's just using the mortar location as a distraction. But I'm looking around for him. I'm looking for him in all the wrong places. I expect him to be like over tucked in a crevice somewhere, but he's probably like miles away, controlling it remotely. But eventually, a couple squad mates do happen onto my position, and then I eventually just destroy the mortar. Kind of spoil what's going to happen, but it's really just me running around on top of a hill for a second, trying to look for this guy who's controlling it, and keeping it spotted, because I kept on losing it in the tall grass. So I couldn't see it anymore. What else? Alien Isolation DLC is coming out, and it's again reported to be really good. So you know that's very good. It's talking about requirements for games now, and how ridiculous it's kind of getting. Of course, the actual game code does not take up much room. Like, okay, sure, 10,000 lines of code, that's maybe, I don't know, 500 megabytes. And then you pile that a whole bunch of together with other files that are 500 lines of code, or 10,000 lines of code, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is like maybe 3-4 gigabytes in a big game. But it's mostly graphical information that takes up a game's space. And if we look on the PC requirements for COD Advanced Warfare, it requires 55 gigabytes. For those of you who are anywhere inside of the SSD age, you know that SSDs, upwards of 256 gigs, are going to get a little bit pricey. So 55 gigs is going to eliminate, like, the extra 56, yeah, that's gone. You now have 200 gigabytes of space left. It's ridiculous. I've got two SSDs in my computer right now. One's running my Windows Windows OS, and there's another one in there holding my temp and temporary files, temporary internet files, all that stuff. And I also use, it's allocated, so there's one half of it, well, like 50 gigs of it is the temp stuff, and then the other 200 gigs is my recording. I record to that SSD. And then I've got a 2 terabyte WD black hard drive in there, which holds all my games, all my main files, all my other stuff. And then I've also got a WD green 2 terabyte in there, which holds my long-term recording hard drive, recording archive, where I keep things and projects that I might be working on later. I also keep some movie files on there, but mostly that drive is unpopulated. I also have an external 1 terabyte where I hold all of my movies, and then a 320 which serves as my backup. Most of my stuff is done through cloud, so I don't really have to worry about backing up so much anymore. But yeah, getting back to PC requirements, as we're nearing kind of the end of this video. Hopefully Mondays have been getting a little short recently. That's because a lot of games have been coming out recently that I've been talking about, so yeah. Anyway, PC requirements for COD 4. You have to have Windows 7 and up, Windows 7 64-bit and up, that is. You have to have an Intel Core i3 530 or an AMD Phenom, whatever, 2X4. And they've got to be 2.93 and 2.8 gigahertz respectively, or better. And that's okay. An i3 processor, yeah, that's pretty inexpensive. Maybe off the top of my head, 100 and something bucks. You've got to have 6 gigabytes of RAM. That's a little bit unusual. Typically it's, well, actually no, 6 gigabytes is pretty standard at this point. NVIDIA GeForce GTS 450 and 1 gigabyte of VRAM and up, and an ATI Radeon HD 5870, 1 gigabyte or better. That is fairly good for a GPU. Of course, this is like recommended settings or something like that. You've got to have DirectX version 11. That is software. I do not know why anybody would have anything lower than that, because updates are free. I don't get it. You've got to have a broadband internet connection and 55 gigabytes of available space, and a sound card that is DirectX compatible. Most motherboards have sound cards built in, so I don't really observe that to be much of a problem. Of course, if you have a motherboard like mine, which has virtually no sound card, that was a pun, but no one will get it. Keyword virtually. It has no sound card, essentially, and it's complete shite. So I have to run it through software, and if you guys know anything about audio processing, running it through software not as advantageous as, you know, using it in hardware. Here I'm trying to use the gold magnum completely unsuccessfully. I waste a full clip, I think, trying to take that guy out, because he's strafing back and forth, and due to the new movement system, it is incredibly hard to predict where he's going. Oh, I'm going to bounce out of user requirements here for a second into hoverboards. We finally do have them. It was all over the internet, so you guys probably know about it now, but it's called the Hendo board, and it works using magnetic repulsion, which is kind of what we all predicted. It doesn't work on every single surface, doesn't work on water. We're still a little bit of the ways out, but we do have the technology. Science has the technology. No, science has the math and science and all that stuff behind it. It's engineering that currently needs to bring it into reality. Whew. Moving on. I'm going to get to Assassin's Creed Unity PC requirements here in a second, but The Evil Within was also released, and it's really, really scary. I watched a live stream of it, and it made me jump, so... And I love horror games. I love certain types of horror games. I'm an incredibly picky horror game player. So, yeah. Whew. Scrolling, trying to find the AC Unity system requirements, but I'm just gonna have to Google it. See requirements. And Assassin's Creed Unity is kind of, and I'm gonna do it really, really fast here. You have to have as a minimum Core i5 250K, GeForce 680 and up, and 7970 and up, which is my card, 6 gigabytes RAMs, Windows 7, DirectX 11, and 50 gigabytes of storage. That is ridiculous. That's stupid ridiculous. That's just minimum. And that's like my graphics card. But anyway, I would like to thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, favorite, subscribe, comment, and all the good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. This is the Hexagon Zero, signing out.